Good morning, afternoon, and evening, guys, and today is finally the day of the release of the brand new Pokemon game, Pokemon Legends Arceus. And as you guys can tell, we are going to be ranking Pokemon games today. I've been wanting to do this tier list for a long time, but with both Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus on the horizon, I thought it was best to probably just wait for these games to come out. And now that they're out, we're going to do a 2022 Pokemon video game tier list. Excited about this one. These games spanning from Pokemon on the Game Boy all the way back in 1998, 1999, to Pokemon Legends Arceus 2022 on the Nintendo Switch. We're going to go ahead and get into it. Our tier list is as follows right here. We have top tier is going to be Arceus, however it's supposed to be said. God tier, essentially, as he's the god of Pokemon in the Pokemon universe. Underneath that, we have excellent tier, good tier. Mid tier is going to be exactly how it sounds like. It's going to be pretty mid. Average, whatever you want to say. We also have a below average tier and a get in the bin tier, as in get in the trash bin. We will definitely be using that for a game or two. So with all that said, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. Now, my criteria for this game, we're jumping into the criteria first, I guess. I guess we aren't really jumping into the tier list. Yeah, anyway. My criteria for the games are how good is the game? How well has the game aged in regards to some of the old games, and does the game have any X factors? And I don't just mean like nostalgia. For example, Pokemon Red and Blue have a lot of bugs that actually make the game, I think, a little more interesting to play because they've been around so long. People know how to use the bugs to either their advantage or to add a little extra challenge to the game. So I think when you play Generation 1 game, part of the fun in playing the Generation 1, Generation 2 games is playing with, how the game was originally kind of broken in some ways and playing around that. And I think that's a lot of fun when you just watch playthroughs and stuff. Somebody that I really like watching Pokemon Generation 1 playthroughs of is JRose11, who I will link down in the description below. Fantastic YouTuber. Doesn't make videos that often because he does very long form videos hour-long videos where he talks about doing a Pokemon run with just Magikarp, or just Lapras or Tauros or, I don't know, whoever. He's done most of the Gen 1 first form Pokemon, I think. So, anyway, enough plugging. So, with that said, some games have something like that, which makes them a little bit more entertaining, I think, or kind of add something a little extra. And for that reason, I do think we got to put Pokemon Red and Blue into the good tier. Now, I cannot put them any higher than that just because of how the games have aged or not. Pokemon Red and Blue do not have much end game content. There is a good curve, like the game flows fairly well, which is definitely a benefit to them. However, there's not as much to do as modern games, and there's obviously going to be a lack of Pokemon because of the time it was released. Generation 1, there's only 150 Pokemon available in the game. I'm not even counting Mew there because you can't get them. Pokemon Yellow, I'd put in the same category here. Now, I guess I would put Pokemon Yellow on top of Pokemon Red and Blue. I think it's slightly better, just because you get that little bit of role-play nostalgia of playing with Pikachu. A little bit of a challenge as well. And then some of the changes they made to teams and stuff. Most of the game is the same, but some of the enhancements they made to the game I do think were pretty good. But overall, I don't think the game is any better than Pokemon. Well, I mean, it's better a little, but I don't think it's all the way up in excellent tier. Moving right along then, we're going to go on to Generation 2 here, now on the Game Boy Color. We started on the regular Game Boy, now we're on the Game Boy Color. Now, this might be... Now, these were the games that I grew up on. I mean, I did play Pokemon Red, but it was like a used copy, and I don't think I played it until it had already been out for several years. But Pokemon Gold, I played like right when it came out, and Crystal too. So these are my childhood, and I think it's like that for a lot of people. But I'm trying to be objective here. I'm trying to be fair to some of the newer games that have come out, and I think really we have to put Gold and Silver in mid. And my reasoning here is the Johto games have a very bad level curve where at certain points in the game, you are super over leveled and you just waltz through everything, and it's way too easy. And then at other points in the game, you're under leveled and you get just blown out unless you've done some extra grinding. And it's really weird. Just the pacing of the game is very poor, which is unfortunate. They also, for some reason, they added all these new Pokemon, but a lot of the Generation 2 Pokemon are not obtainable until later, which is unfortunate. Now, the post-game in Johto is fantastic. It's the best post-game of any game. If you don't know, when you play these games, once you beat the main game, you can go and you basically can play these games. You go over to the previous region. And that's awesome. But it wasn't a lot new. It was kind of like a redo of Pokemon Red and Blue in a lot of ways. So for that reason, I have to put something in mid. And I think that if I'm comparing, Pokemon Red to Pokemon Gold, I think Pokemon Red is better for the time, for what it offered. And for that just kind of extra interestingness of how broken it is. Now, Pokemon Crystal came along, and this was an enhanced version of Gold and Silver. I'm going to go ahead and put it, just like Pokemon Yellow, I'm going to put it up ahead of Pokemon Gold and Silver. I'm going to go ahead and put that just a little step up there. I think that this one is better than Gold and Silver. The gap between them, I should say, is more than the gap between Yellow and Red and Blue. But that's what I'm going to start with for the Generation 1 and 2 games. Definitely not a bad game by any means, but yeah, we'll get to more. Moving on to the Game Boy Advance, we have Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. I think these games are excellent, and I know some OG Pokemon fans are going to take issue with this, but I think that the third generation games were the best games up to that point. They had an incredibly compelling story. They added a lot of new features such as the Pokemon contests, running shoes. There's more storylines involving the gym leaders, such as one of them being your father. It shows you how you actually show up in the region. There was a lot of water, which I know a lot of people didn't like, but it was something different. And the post game was fairly good. So I think these are excellent games. Yeah, they are. And then after that, they remade Pokemon Pokemon Red and Green from Japan into Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. And I think Fire Red and Leaf Green are also excellent games. I do think they are an improvement on the original Generation 1 games. Modern mechanics like running shoes and also adding some new areas like the Sevi Isles. I think that Fire Red and Leaf Green, Fire Red and Leaf Green, I do think these are an improvement on the original game. And in some ways, I think they might be, well, at the time, I think they were the most well-rounded Pokemon games. I think I would put Fire Red and Leaf Green over Ruby and Sapphire because they have a combination of Gen 1 nostalgia and modernization to them, which we'll probably continue to talk about as we go here. Now, the next game coming up, Generation 3, not over yet. We have Pokemon Emerald, the upgraded version of Ruby and Sapphire. I understand that I might be biased on this one because Pokemon Emerald is my absolutely favorite Pokemon game of all time. It was the first game ever that I really took and said, okay, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to do everything possible in this game. But it's hard to argue, in my opinion, that Pokemon Emerald is not an Arceus tier game. It was fantastic. It was the blueprint of what a enhanced copy of a game should be from that point on. It was better, in my opinion, than Crystal or Yellow. It added more to the game. It completely changed the story, where instead of fighting one evil team, you were fighting two, giving more time to Rayquaza, fantastic legendary, adding the additional post-game areas and stuff. There's a lot to do in Pokemon Emerald, and I think that's fantastic. So Pokemon Emerald, I'm going to put in Arceus tier. It is our first game in that category. Going on now to the Nintendo DS, which we're going to be on for the next 2 generations here. We have Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, which, if that sounds familiar, it's because they were just remade into Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. These coming out, though, on Nintendo's DS, what is it, 20 years? No. Okay, my math's off. 15 years ago, I think, about. Yeah, these came out in 2006. I think these are good tier games. Are they better than the Gen 1 games? Now, I played Pokemon Pearl a lot. I played Pokemon Pearl actually more than I played Emerald. I know I talked about Emerald was like the first game that I really played a ton, and it was. But as I got older, that it became more common to play a game a crap ton, shall we say. I think Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are great. I think that their post game is incredibly underrated. You have 3 entire towns and an entire island that you go to after you beat the Elite Four. And I think that is incredibly underrated. They added a bunch of legendary Pokemon. I was not a fan of all of the mythicals that are very hard to obtain. Which, by the way, if you still have a Generation 4 or 5 game, you can still obtain the event mythical Pokemon in them. I'm going to provide a link to that in the description down below as well. I'll link you a video showing you how you can do that. Literally, I just did it like 2 weeks ago. I picked up 3 Darkrai's, a Shaman, a Manaphy, 2 Arceuses. You can still get those Pokemon, which is wild. You're not hacking or anything. You don't need a Game Shark or anything like that. So that'll be linked down below. But back to the tier list here. I think we'll leave Diamond and Pearl under, well, they have a better post game than the Gen 1 games. Gen 1 probably has a better Pokedex, even though Diamond and Pearl's is larger. Diamond and Pearl does have a weird level curve. Same thing, similar to the Gen 2 games, where they have a very weird pacing where everything's happening really fast at the beginning of the game, and then everything really slows down at the end. Or at least in like the mid-ish game. They also have an issue where there's like no fire Pokemon in the game for some reason. So that was a big issue, I think. Honestly, I think Diamond and Pearl are probably better than Red, Yellow, and Blue, but it's incredibly close. Incredibly close. And also, I'm noticing I'm listing them by the names. You usually say Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, not Pearl and Diamond. So that's just the order I put them in. It's not that I think Dialga is better than Palkia. Even though he probably is. But I had Pearl as a kid, so yeah. Alright. Pokemon Platinum coming up next. The enhanced version of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Pokemon Platinum made a lot of improvements. They focused on Giratina, added the Distortion world, added a new form to Giratina, the first legendary Pokemon with a completely different form, which would be the blueprint. Moving forward for a lot of different games, a lot of different Pokemon in the future would have different forms. If you look at Generation 5, Generation 6, Generation 7, all of these into Generation 8. Actually, no, not Generation 8, strangely. But Generation 7 all have legendary Pokemon with different forms. Actually, Generation 8 does, because Calyrex. But, yeah. So Platinum is better than Diamond and Pearl. It's going to be at least in our excellent tier. They fixed the Pokedex. They made that better. The post game is of the same quality, I think. I think I'm going to leave Platinum at the top of excellent tier. Though I would not argue with you. I might end up moving it up. I would not argue with you if you wanted to put it in Arceus tier. I would not argue with you. We'll leave it in excellent for now. Going down here to Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The second collection of remakes on this list. Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think, are great remakes. They improved vastly upon the original games. And I actually need to find myself one of these copies because I want to play the game again. I don't currently own it. But Generation 4 and 5 games are pretty hard to find. I'll talk about that when we get to Gen 5. But Heart Gold, Soul Silver, I think, are excellent games. They can go no lower than here. You cannot put them any lower than excellent tier. You could make a case even that they are in Arceus tier, but I do want to be a little... Emerald can't go in Arceus tier, can it? I mean, if we're looking at Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Platinum... but Emerald was so good, though. So good. Honestly, though, I think Platinum's better. I think Platinum added more. But Emerald added the Battle Tower stuff. Or, not the Battle Tower, the Battle... What's it called? The Battle... City? Battle Frontier? Battle Frontier, I think it is. What did Platinum add? Platinum added stuff, too. These two are very close. Emerald and Platinum are very, very close in their ranking here. Heart Gold and Soul Silver added Pokemon following. They completely improved the graphics. I mean, obviously. I think we're going to put Emerald and Platinum above Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but I do think I'm going to lower Emerald down, and we're going to put it right there next to Platinum. Yeah, I don't think the improvement from Platinum, from Diamond and Pearl, puts it all the way up here. I think it has to be here. And we might move these up. We'll see. We'll see. Coming up next, we have Pokemon Black and White. Now, Pokemon Black and White, they decided to make a lot of changes to the game, where they created a ton of new Pokemon, some of which are fantastic, some of which are the worst ever created. And they completely locked you into just using these new Pokemon until after the Elite Four. And that was a huge controversy. A lot of people did not like that. Some people did like the fresh start. And on top of that, they have a new region. I mean, all these games have new regions, but the Unova region was such a departure from the first four regions, which are very Japanese-based, while the Unova region in Pokemon Black and White was based on the United States, specifically New York, with large cities and pretty built-up areas. Even some of the routes, I mean, there's sidewalk, right? There's streets. So it's very different. It's almost jarring to go back, especially if you're used to playing these games more. Generations 1 through 4. Generation 5 is very jarring to play for a second time. That does not mean it's a bad thing, but it is quite jarring to play. I think that Black and White, as much as some people don't like them, I do think they're good games. I don't think they have as many problems as the Generation 2 games have down here. I do think they're probably worse than Gen 1. So I'll put them at the bottom of good tier, kind of hanging on there. But I do think they are good games, I'll say. The storyline with N is also good. Their villainous group. There is some issues, but I think Black and White is better than people give it credit for. Now, Black and White 2, instead of making Pokemon Gray, or a normal enhanced version of a game, like they did with Emerald and Platinum, the Pokemon Company went all out and they created complete sequels to Pokemon Black and White, called Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. These games actually switched the poster Pokemon for them, as well as adding Kyurem to the mix, and for the first time ever fusing together two Pokemon, which was controversial, but I think it worked out well. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 also reduced some of the restrictions on Pokemon you could use. You can now use Pokemon from previous generations, which was nice. They advanced the storyline. I think it's 5 years in the future, and you have a brand new character. Some of the characters from the old game are in them, or some of the playable characters are in them. You have new gym leaders. You have a ton of new areas. You start in a whole different new town. I am playing through Pokemon Black 2 right now for the first time. I'm actually, I will admit, not done with it. I'm almost done with it. Almost finished everything I wanted to in the game. But I had to find this one, and I actually bought this game, Pokemon Black 2, for $95 from a used game shop. And if that sounds astronomical to you, you may have not ever tried to look for one of these games. They are hard to find. They are manufactured in a limited supply and are not available digitally. And given that it's been so long since they came out and everything, they're also fantastic games, so they're hard to find. I could have probably gotten them on eBay for cheaper, but I would have had to bid and then wait for shipping. Anyway, all of this I'm trying to say is these games are Arceus tier. They are better than Emerald and Platinum. I have much more nostalgia for Generations 3 and 4 than I do 5, but Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 did so many amazing things with the Pokemon Tournament, everything else I've mentioned. They are Arceus tier games, and up to that point, they were the best games that Pokemon ever made. And to that reason, it still to this day astounds me that Game Freak took Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, and 1 year later they make Pokemon X and Y, which are, in my opinion, some of the worst games ever created in the Pokemon franchise. Pokemon Black and White 2, switching up the region again. Now you are in Kalos, based on France. It's fine. It was fine. I find the companions you have in the Pokemon X and Y games, the rivals, so to speak, to be incredibly annoying, most of them. I find the storyline to be completely ridiculous and not really make any sense at times, including a 9-foot giant. I find the game is incredibly easy for no reason at times. Their whole thing is mega evolving Pokemon, which was an addition that was controversial. But instead of going all in on that, they decided that only you get it, right? So there's only like 3 people you ever fight in the game that actually have Mega Evolution other than you. When you finally get to the Elite Four, each of the Elite Four member only has 4 Pokemon for some reason. Like, there was so many things in this game that just didn't make sense to me. And they ended up not making Pokemon Z. I don't know if that was because these games did poorly or whatnot. I'm not actually sure if they did poorly. Which, by the way, we're now on the Nintendo 3DS. Pokemon Z, I think, could have been fantastic. I think these games had a lot of potential, but they just needed to fix some of those issues. But it was not to be. They never created Pokemon Z, and for that reason, well, not for that reason, for a variety of reasons, Pokemon X and Y need to get in the bin. Now, coming up next, we have another set of remakes. And to this point, every set of remakes has been better than the original games. Generation 2 being a huge jump from mid to excellent tier. Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I would also say, are a jump in quality from excellent tier to Arceus tier. You took a fantastic duo of games and just added to it. You added Mega Evolutions. They added the ability to fly in the overworld with the Azure... Is it the Azure Flute? One of the flutes. I don't know. You can fly on the back of Latias or Latios. Like, you can... the graphics are completely improved, obviously, because it's on the 3DS, but using that 3D option, you have a lot more to see and a lot more with the underwater stuff. They really incorporated it very well. They incorporated some of the changes from Emerald as well. I think Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are fantastic games. They are, just like all the remakes, really, pretty much most of the remakes, are fantastic offerings. I think Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire I would put in Arceus tier. Now again, weird kind of pivot. They took a year off in 2015. 2016 we have, still on the Nintendo 3DS for Generation 7, we have Pokemon Sun and Moon. Pokemon Sun and Moon I would put in below average. These Pokemon games were based in Alola, which is based on Hawaii. And again, they tried to make some big changes to the series, and I don't think these changes worked out as well as Pokemon Black and White. They got rid of gym leaders, and you basically, through the course of Alola, establish the gym challenge and establish the Elite Four and whatnot with Pokemon Sun and Moon. And there was a lot of things in these games that were fantastic, like riding Pokemon where you didn't have to have HMs anymore. There is some cool Pokemon added. Totem Pokemon was not as bad as people complain about. The legendary Pokemon in this generation were really cool. But there was also a lot of stuff that was really annoying. At the beginning of the game, it felt like it would take you an hour and a half to get to anything that you could actually do on your own. There was just constantly cutscene and stopping you so you can talk to somebody and holding your hand as you go through the game. There's a lot of things in these games that just didn't work, and I think that they are below average games. Even though our average, obviously we have more games above it than below it, but I think in general these are below mid-tier games. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I would probably put here in mid. I do think they're a pretty good improvement on Pokemon Sun and Moon. This is a similar thing to Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, where they were not an enhanced version of the original games, but more of a sequel. The problems with these ones is, unlike Black 2 and White 2, which came out 2 years later, and Pokemon Platinum, which came out 2 years later, and Pokemon Emerald, which came out 2 years later, and Pokemon Crystal actually only came out 1 year later. So that's the exception. But Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon only came out 1 year later after Sun and Moon, and they were very similar to the original games. It was not... I suppose they were more of enhanced versions, remakes, now that I think about it, but they didn't really continue the story. But they added a lot to the story, and I do think Ultra Sun is a much better game than Ultra Moon, and same thing for Sun. They added more Ultra Beasts. You have a better story with Necrozma. They improved. They added a lot more Pokemon and improved on some of the features and stuff. I would put Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in mid tier. I do think they still have problems, but I do think they have some good stuff going for them too. Continuing on, Generation 8. We are now on the Nintendo Switch. Everybody was excited when Nintendo Switch came out because it seemed just perfect way to put a Pokemon game on a console for the first time, or a mainline Pokemon game. And they ended up giving us Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which may be the most controversial games on this list. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, remakes of the original games, so we're getting another Generation 1 remake. But now we're getting one which was very different. It was definitely a simplified version of the game, seemed to be made for kids or just newer players in general. It was much more similar to Pokemon Go, the mobile game, than really the previous handheld games. And a lot of people were worried that this would be the direction moving forward, and it hasn't been. Though I do think at some point they will give us another Let's Go game with some additional Pokemon. But Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were very, very interesting. I think they're great. If somebody especially somebody who is younger or just doesn't mind playing a I guess childish game, right? I guess they're all kids games to some people. But if somebody wants to try Pokemon, Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu are a great place to start. So I think these games are. I am positive on them. Some people are incredibly negative on them. I'm positive on them because they definitely are a sidestep for me. Now, had this been the continuation of the series, and this is what all of the games moving forward were like, I think that may have been a problem. But with what we know, obviously, the series continues in some other directions. I think the Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu are good. I think they are better than the original games. But I think that's a product of the times. So I don't think they're actually as good as Fire Red and Leaf Green are. I would put them probably right here above their original counterparts. There is some things, like I said, that are fantastic in this game. If we were going to rank games by, what to start a new player out with, Generation 1 is right there. Because it's the easiest to get. For the record, Generation 5 would also be one I'd recommend for somebody who's never played Pokemon before. Generation 1 or 5 would probably be my two suggestions for you. So Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu, good tier. Definitely some controversial ones. Alright, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Scratch that, I think these might be the most controversial games. I think Sword and Shield are below average games. I'm just going to put them there. I know some people would put them in the bin. I think the DLCs for the games really helped and added a lot that should have been in the game originally. The controversy of having DLC in a Pokemon game anyway was fierce. I personally, did not mind it because it gave us additional content later. But I did understand why some people were upset about that. I think overall, Sword and Shield are below average. They have the same problem that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon do, where there's just constantly somebody interrupting you to talk. I found Hop and Leon incredibly annoying characters. I found a lot of the animation to be very over-exaggerated and not in a good way. The story was not the best. Sword and Shield had a lot of problems. What helped Sword and Shield was the region that they were in really was cool. Galar is a really, really cool region. Galarian evolutions. Oh, and Alolan evolutions, and these are pretty cool too. Yeah, I don't know. I like Crown Tundra and... what's the other one called? Isle of Armor. But yeah, if you're talking about just the base games, they really do have to go in the bin, don't they? So that would be... okay, that's my argument then. Okay, so for those of you watching here, they're in the bin. These games, I refuse to say they're better than X. They're worse than X and Y, though. But they're in the bin if we're not counting the DLCs. And if we count the DLCs, they can come up here to below average. So maybe let's leave one up there and one down here. And for those of you listening, you will know why I separated them. So with the DLCs, they go up a tier. Without the DLCs, they go down a tier. Also, I'm thinking that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon should be underneath Gen 2. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the modern Pokemon games, and I know a lot of people aren't. Which is why a lot of people were very hesitant when Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Arceus were announced. So let's take a look. Did Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl continue the remake streak that the other games like Omega Ruby and Emerald and Heart Gold had done? I'd say yes. I'd say that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were really, really good remakes. I think that the problems that they have is that they just didn't do enough from Platinum. But I think the Grand Underground is great. I think a lot of the changes they make to modernize the game, like adding close options and different things like that, I think they're good. I think that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are an excellent tier, and I think now that I put them here, notice how I put them underneath Platinum. I think we actually need to put Emerald and Platinum into Arceus tier. I think that is fair to do. I know we have a big jump here from Diamond and Pearl to Platinum, but this would be how I rank them. I think Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is better than the originals, and Platinum is better than all of them, because Platinum has more in the game. A lot more in the game. And now that these are up here, comparing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I think those are probably better than Emerald, because they actually did take a lot from Emerald. Yeah, but this is a little debatable. You could maybe move these around. Also, I just remembered that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon had that Rainbow Rocket Castle thing, which is pretty cool. I'm very split on whether or not these should be... Maybe we'll put them in the middle here. Should we put them in the middle of the Generation 2 games? Yeah, we'll do that. That doesn't really make much sense, but I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think. And then finally, 30 minutes into the video, we have Pokemon Legends Arceus. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, isn't it? It just came out today. At the time of this recording, I have not played it enough to really tell you for sure if it's an Arceus level game, but it's been good so far. It's been really good so far. I've been enjoying everything about it. It's a fantastic departure from the monotony that we've had in every Pokemon game up till this point, with the exception maybe of Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. Fantastic adoption of other elements of RPG and of open world content. Some issues, some things I'm not too sure about. They made a lot of changes. No more held items, no more Pokemon abilities. Moves work a lot differently now. But even just playing through the first parts of the game and having the characters talk, and like I played as the male character, so having like the female character Akari come in, and they're telling the story of how you like arrive, right? Like you fall out of the sky, and then she's like, right. It's not. I don't want to say unrealistic because they're monsters, but like the game seems to take itself a little more seriously in that things happen and it's like, yeah, dude, like that doesn't make any sense. And once you play the game, you'll understand if you haven't played that. I don't know if I just gave a good description or not, but I will leave Pokemon Legends Arceus at the bottom of Arceus tier out of respect for Pokemon's Platinum, Emerald, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Black and White 2. I will leave Pokemon Legends Arceus down here. And we can revisit this a little bit later after I have a chance to play it. With all that said, it looks like Black 2 and White 2 are the greatest Pokemon games of all time. Is that cap? Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments section. If you have watched through this whole video, you are fantastic, and you probably like tier lists. So if you do, subscribe if you're not. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. And if you want to see more tier lists like this about Pokemon or whatever else, let me know what you think. Comment section down below. With all that said, guys, this has been the guy that makes random tier lists, and I'm signing off.